Welcome to Deep Thought. Movements always start as seeds, movements. I'm gonna tell you what, every single movement out there, I don't care what it is, or subculture, whatever the case, subculture, counterculture, movement, it always starts off as a seed. They don't just pop up. Even when they have leaders or famous persons, influencers, they never, ever just pop out of the blue. There were people, many people who were seeds. Many people, any movement. You check any movement and you start, or subculture, and you start looking at the leading figures and you start asking yourself, wait a minute, they've been around. And I've talked about this before. They've always been around, but they just haven't reached a public consciousness yet. Or they might not have brought a name to themselves, but I don't care what it is, you can point to any movement and you start studying it. You look at it good, it's like, well, wait a minute. They didn't really start when people start talking about them. They were always around. Like you can even, like, let me use the example of like influencers on the internet or in social media and everything. None of them just jumped out. They all started somewhere. There was always a few years before they became big, you know? Now, there's been plenty who would become big and then they would fade out, but then there was always a seed. They always started somewhere. Yeah, some seeds grow faster than the others. So when you're looking at movements, and that's like one of the things I do, people know I have a great interest in subcultures and movements and stuff like that. Mainly subcultures, but you know, it's only a fine line between a movement and a subculture. A fine line. Like movements tend to be something, they have a specific goal, whereas a subculture might be more of a way of life. But even they, now I don't care what it is, a lifestyle. It has a seed somewhere, somebody started it. I don't care what it is, you can point to anything. Somebody had a thought towards it, and you look at any movement, and it had a beginning with somebody whose name you probably never know. But then somebody else will come in whose name you do know or will find out. But they always have somebody to lean on or something like that. But they start off as a seed. But the thing with seeds, they always break ground. It's just a question of when. And I was thinking about that because, you know, I talk with different people and I pay attention to things. Because even now I'm paying attention to different things, political movements, spiritual movements, just ordinary lifestyles. I'm paying attention. One, that's my nature anyway. That really is my nature because I want to know how something could have possibly affect me. That's the first thing. It's a selfish thing there, but then, you know, it's like, okay. Will it affect me? Do I have any connection to it? Should it be a problem? Because I would just say this, at least in this country, there's some stuff coming that people aren't talking about. They're there, they're right there, they've been there all along, but people aren't talking about it. And it's going to be interesting. And actually, well, I'm not going to get into why I thought about it this morning, right before recording, but I say, this is interesting. You know, this is interesting. Because I know someone else is paying attention to one movement in particular. I ain't going to give it right now. I ain't going to give them any airspace. But it's something to pay attention to. And they've been around a while. Even before a particular person I knew started mentioning it themselves. So I was like, But they always start off as a seed. Like if anything like if something pops up and you don't like it and it's against you and it like either directly or secondarily, or you just don't like it, okay, don't look at the people who are part of it initially. Say, okay, when did it start? And what issue is it addressing? Because any movement is going to address some people's issues and it's going to tap into what they think. And it could be a totally made up thing, like somebody like, you know, something that's politically motivated, you know, or something that's religious. Like I would say, you know, you got a lot of gurus out there and everything. So like how many people are following them? And especially when you talk about social media now somebody could create a movement Like you might have somebody who got a set of ideas, a way of living, everything, and they might not be big now. They might have a few hundred followers on social media, but they still talking. They still talking until they get that one moment. All of a sudden, they explode. I've seen this happen with many influencers. They'll have that one moment, that one video, that one short, and all of a sudden it's like boom. But they've been there all along. And then for people to even adhere to that movement, that means they had to be thinking about some things as well. So I mean, that's the thing. You really gotta pay attention to that. But I don't care what it is. It started as a seed. Now, you can see that as a bad thing. It could also be a good thing. You have many movements that are good, that are something. You have somebody with some idea, and you know, right now we haven't heard of them. We haven't heard of them. They have an idea, a plan, and that's one of the beauties of social media. The theys can't really stop them. Because the beauty of social media, you got so many platforms that all somebody had to do is get popular on one platform. You know, and they can do so in the comfort of their own home. And I ain't saying I'm trying to start anything. I'm just saying, you know, that's the thing with nowadays. People don't have to be any place special to get a movement started, but it's still a seed. And you know, maybe it need some water and it needs some time. But at some point it'll break through. Because like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there people don't know. You know, Rom's one of those people, I pay attention to everything and I think, even stuff like near me, even stuff I can witness personally. I was like, yeah, they small now. And you know, some seeds, I'm gonna be real, let's be real, some seeds don't fully germinate. Some seeds don't like break through the soil. It is what it is, because you know it still needs some water and some nurturing and everything. But you don't, you know, it just doesn't. But then what about those that do? Good and bad. Good and bad for you, because good and bad is actually relative. It depends. You know, that's a whole other conversation. You know, if a fox is in a hen house, it's good for the fox, bad for the hens. But if the fox is prevented from getting in that hen house, it's bad for the fox and good for the hens. So you gotta really look at all of that. But when you think about any movement, where did it start at? Because I can think of one major one. I ain't gonna give them any credence. One, because YouTube itself might like mark the video or something, but it started from somebody just playing around. It started from somebody just playing around. That's the only bad part about social media. You got a lot of fakers. But I'm gonna tell you what, it always starts as a seed. Any movement starts as a seed. Just remember that. And pay attention. Like if you see something, like it could be somebody random. You happen to see a video, they talking about something. And it could sound crazy to you, but I'm like, yeah, it sounds crazy, but how many people it don't sound crazy to? It's a seed now, but it could be a problem later on. Or, like I said, it could be good. Hopefully it's good. So anyway, though, something to think about. You know how I do on this channel. I give you something to think about. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll get back with y'all. Think on this. Peace and blessings.